We are going. What's going on with everybody? It is your boy, Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And I got a very special guest on the other line, man. I will let him introduce himself. Who do we have here today?
I'm Brother Ali. Most people know me because I make hip hop music, but I do a bunch of other things too.
Hey, man. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm happy to talk to you. Like I said, I think you hit me up. It's been like a year since you first hit me up, and I was already aware of you. I saw your interview with No Name, and I loved it. And then I watched a bunch of other things, but I just didn't have anything to talk about at that point. So we waited until we got a new album.
Hey, man. I will say that is a lie. You always got something to talk about. You are a very interesting person. Music aside, just you as a person, things that like I've heard you say, because after I found out about who Brother Ali was, which we'll get into later, I've definitely kept up with everything with you, rather if it's music, rather if it's the Travelers podcast. Like you're good. You were talking about me being a journalist. You're a good journalist. You know, your
Appreciate that.
interviews, like the one you did with Jake One. I really love that one. That was like really interesting to me. But yeah, you're really good at like talking to people, in my opinion.
Man, that means a lot coming from you because you're like the thing that I love about you, especially with No Name. First of all, it always throws people off that you ask people to introduce themselves. That's usually new, unless they've seen your stuff. You know what I mean? But you talk to people. It's like you talk to people like a person, like a regular person, which they are and which you are. But then you also have a really interesting take on things and you're very thoughtful. And usually you get either people that are thoughtful, but then they're too scripted, or people that are too loose. And it's just a little too homey and like, it drags. So that means a lot coming from you.
No, I appreciate that, man. It's funny you bring up the introduce yourself thing because every time I have like PTSD, and there was one interview I did with the guy Orlando Brown, and I'll never forget. This is like one of my first interviews, so I'm not good at this, and I was like, "Introduce yourself," and he looks at me. He says, "He says, nigga, it's your show. You introduce me." I was like, "All right, well."
I mean but that is an intro. He did introduce himself. That's who you're dealing with Orlando Brown.
That was hilarious. So yeah, I appreciate you for like even you pointing that out that like you realize that I do the you introduce yourself thing. I can tell like you're an observer because that's a very small thing, a part of a like a no name interview is like hours long. The fact that you notice that you're a very observant human, and I feel like people who are very observant and rappers, that's like that coincides the best because those are some of the best storytellers. Those are some of the best lyricists because you observe what's going on around you. So I can tell just off of that small observance that you made that you must be a very observant human.
Yeah, I think, whenever you don't have a group that you necessarily immediately fit into, you have to observe. Like you have to peep what's going on in order to survive. Just first to survive, but then if you're ever going to find community or acceptance or friendship and all that kind of stuff, you have to see what's going on and assess. Um, so all of that stuff is necessary.
It's interesting because you talk about like not fitting into certain groups. When growing up, I've heard you talk a lot about like how a lot of black culture was attracted to you, rather if it was music, rather if it was like your friends, whoever. Um, why do you think like out of all like cultures, black culture spoke to you a lot?
I mean, first of all, like black culture is pretty much like the only actual culture in America. Like it's like everybody will acknowledge other people's creations. You know what I mean? So if somebody's playing Irish music, they're like, "Oh, that's Irish," or if somebody's playing Mexican music, it's like, "Oh yeah, that's Mexican." You know what I mean? But America's so used to owning black folks that it's like, nobody owns music and only when it's black stuff though. So first of all, everybody is, you know, and the ways that people really be human in terms of like how do we sing, how do we dance, how do we dress, how do we walk, how do we talk to God, how do we do romance and sex and all of this stuff. So much of it is really based on black culture. So that's I think everybody is in that boat. There's just most people don't acknowledge it. But for me, I'm albino. My family is white. being out, and I grew up in like little towns, and I moved a lot in the Midwest when I was a little kid, and so I just experienced nothing. It felt like nothing but just being an outsider and cruelty, and it just sucked. I just felt like I just accepted by the time I was like 6, 7 years old, first couple years in school, like, oh, these people are they all know each other, they're all friends. I'm not really a person. I'm just gonna be me. I'm just gonna be alone forever, I thought. And then at some point, black elders and friends and all that kind of, I think, mm, black folks like albinism is so common that there's this feeling that so many people have that like albinism is a black thing. And so people like from the time I was a little kid, people are like, "Oh, you're black because you're albino. Albinos are black." And I was like, I don't know how that would work because my parents are white, but like, but okay, you know what I mean? Like, so from the time I was maybe 7 years old or something like that, that's how I saw it until I got all the way out into the world and I realized like, oh, not everybody knows me. And I have to actually start to think about what does this really mean for myself and for other people and for my place in society. And, so I've spent most of my life trying to figure that part out. But the first time I ever felt like a person, like on my Wikipedia, somebody was like, Brother Lee felt accepted and embraced. And I don't know about all that, but I was a person. Like I'm when I was little, like the first time I was ever an actual just human being was in black spaces. And then my family wasn't always together and functioning and things like that. And so there were long periods where I just lived with my friends. Like I lived in black people's homes and, you know, with families and all of that stuff. And then I became Muslim when I was 15. And that was like a full communal experience. Like that was like a full, that was a really beautiful, embracing kind of thing. So, yeah, it's been my whole life basically being in black spaces, but not being ethnically, black.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like in my master's program where I'm studying to be a counselor, the thing that like interests me the most is identity and the way people identify. And even you talking about being a Muslim, like when you think about America, and you think about Muslims that live in America, you don't really think about white people who are Muslims. There are white Muslims out there, but just when
Right.
you think about your first thought of a Muslim in America, the even the second thought probably be like a black Muslim, probably be like, like somebody that's black and a Muslim. So a lot of things that you identify with, even your rapping, you got the oh, is it you? I was gonna say this later. You have to be the most soulful white rapper ever. Like I don't like to categorize you in the white box, like a white rapper box. I don't think I've ever heard because I feel like white rappers, don't prioritize like smoothness. I don't know if you ever thought about that, but like I feel like most white rappers are either just rapping this fast, or they're just the white boy who can rap. But like a white smooth rapper, I feel like white rappers really don't prioritize that. You are like the smoothest, like you're one of the smoothest rappers of all time. But I think if we're just categorizing by race, you are the smoothest white rapper ever.
Well, I mean that makes me feel good. That feels like more. It feels like more hugs.
But
Always here for more hugs.
for sure. But going back to the identity part, as a kid, like I feel like a lot of people struggle with who they are and what their identity is, and even you greatly because of, like you said, the situation you was in. Was there ever any confusion on like am I black or am
Hell
I
yeah.
white?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like especially when I was younger, like man, there were so many people. It's like, it's funny. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with Murs, like Murs Murs, one of my favorite, one of the most important underground rappers, one of my dearest friends. He actually pointed out that our generation, so me and him were born in the '70s. Our generation was the first one to grow up in like integration in America.
Mm,
So it's new, you know what I mean? Like the idea of it was in our parents' generation, but they didn't actually really experience it. We were the first people that grew up where you could be white and have all your friends could be black or vice versa. Like that was almost impossible generations before. So like in a lot of ways we were doing a lot of stuff that there wasn't language for yet. Um, so there just wasn't a lot of language around what it, acceptance and things like appropriation or like just all the stuff that the internet has provided. Now people have immediate access to. You can like go to YouTube and find or TikTok and find somebody talking about all this stuff. We didn't have any of that, and neither did our elders really. And so a number of people, I think they just wanted a shortcut to be like, hey, we accept you, it's okay. So they would just say you're black.
Mm.
I was told that. I'm telling you, like everybody from like my friends to their parents to I mean even very like I've always really so part of the thing was that I would be in black spaces and black homes with black people. But then in my home was white and my parents were like northern liberals.
Wait,
And
could you
I
give me
still
1 second? Can I answer this phone call really
yeah, for
quickly?
sure. Hmm.
I'm so sorry. Hold on.
No problem.
That was the lead singer of the Stylistics. Oh,
Hey.
and he kept calling.
Crazy.
He kept calling. I was like, "This is an older man. I don't know if he reads his text, so let me just answer this phone call."
Yeah,
So,
if he does, he reading them like this.
yeah.
Look, look here.
So I was like, let me call this man. But okay. We
say,
are back.
say, say, brother.
That's hilarious. All right, so we are back. I had a very hilarious phone call. I'm so sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about
No, no, no. It's
parenting
all
link.
good. Yeah, just going back and forth from the black as a little kid, going back and forth from the white world to the black world. I just had so much rage and anger about the way that the white world saw black folks. I was just like, it's a lie, and that like, and it's so dehumanizing, and it's so. And again, I didn't have the language for it, but I had a lot of just anger, and it just felt so like visceral to me. I've been in all these situations with people with, whether it's getting pulled over by the police and guns getting put to our heads, or, being with like black teenage friends and like white elders like jumping us and beating us up, and all these like very dangerous situations and just seeing the beauty and humanity of my friends but then the way that black folks are spoken about even by white people that think they're liberal was like infuriating to me. And so I've always gravitated not only to just regular like culture and things but like specifically really militant kind of thought and movements and activism and things like that. And even in those militant spaces, the Nation of Islam, the Five Percenters, all sorts of different movements. Always the feeling there has always just been really beautiful, and so and yeah, a number of folks. I mean, Minister Farrakhan told me that albinos are original people. Minister Farrakhan told me I was black. You know what I'm saying? Like this is my life experience. But I would say the major kind of like trouble that I not even trouble, but the major like miscommunication that I had is when I first started rapping, I didn't know. Like, I put an album out on a small independent label in Minneapolis. I was a Muslim imam. I changed my name to Ali. Everybody called me Brother Ali. Everybody knew my mom. They knew my parents. People that knew me, like, knew what the situation was. People would be like, "Is Ali black?" No, oh no, no, he's da 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 da, da, but he's grown up around us and whatever. Some people like me, some people don't. Like some people don't like me and don't accept me. Um, but so when I came out rapping and calling myself Brother Ali and I'm Muslim and I'm albino, like my music got further than I thought it would, and people started writing Brother Ali is a black albino. And this is 2003 when there's not YouTube, there's no social media. I had to make another album to clarify it. You know what I mean? I had to wait until I could make another album. So it was a couple years before my next album came out and I could say what it was. So there are people when somebody doesn't feel good about me or doesn't have a good opinion of me, they'll say I lied and said I was black. And I remember when Rachel Dolezal came out, like when that whole story broke, like it's like 10 years ago now, I was like, man, somebody's gonna think that's what I did. I just knew it. I was like, damn it, it's great. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, people are gonna say that's what I did. And so during like when people were all like, it was really big to like cancel people online. That was the thing, is that people are like, Brother Ali lied for years and made everybody think he was black and so and so. And I'm like, man, when black folks think highly of me, I accept it, and also I don't feel entitled to it. So it's like any black person's opinion of me and my music and my participation in the culture, or community or whatever. It's like every black person has the right to assess things the way assess it.
Yeah.
And so it's not for me to determine whether or not I know what I'm trying to do, but not everybody knows that. And whatever people's experience is, even if it's just a feeling of having to see this person talk about these things, if it's like, if that doesn't feel good, then people have the right to say that. Yeah.
I think this is where I don't think I've ever said this on camera before. We're getting to kind of problematic territory. So I'm going to say, I think race is a very complex issue, very similar to gender. The way people struggle with gender identity, I think race can be very similar. And I don't think they're the exact same, but I think they're in the same ballpark. So that's why when people like struggle with race identity and, hey, I'm a white person, but I grew up around nothing but black people. And I know I'm not black, but like I don't relate to white people as much, or I'm Hispanic and I grew up around whatever. Like that's a very interesting topic. So that's why I wanted to ask you that, because I've never actually spoken to anybody who was one ethnicity or one race, grew up around the other race, and like it was kind of like one race was much more influential to them than their own. So I think that's very interesting. And I don't know, man, like your story like deserves like a book or like a movie or something. Like you're like a super duper interesting. Like we haven't even talked about your music, but just you as a person, you
Mhm.
are hilarious. Like I don't feel like people don't give you enough credit. You are one of the funniest rappers ever, probably. um and I don't know, just everything that has made you you, I'm grateful to see as a fan.
Man, that's really, really kind. Yeah, it's like, but I know I'm not black.
Yeah.
Like, if like, not only the experience, it is not the same. Like, one of the things that I'm like, even if people who aren't black can't for like aren't gonna spend a lifetime studying the reality of what it is to be black. Like,
Yeah.
most people that aren't black aren't gonna do that. But like, the best a person can do is just realize what black people have been through in the last 500 years has only ever happened to them,
Mm.
and nobody knows it except them. And it's like, I've spent my whole life studying it, and it's like, I learned something new every day. I learned some new thing of like, oh, these people were hung and castrated, and these people were, you discover, and it's like an ocean without a shore. You learn something new every single day. It's worse than you thought. And nobody's been through that. But then also, there's just physical things. Like, there are physical things that just aren't the same. Like, I think that I'm a very good MC. I really do. And I've had the blessing of being on tour, on tracks with all my heroes, every single one of them. And they've all validated me in some kind of way, and I feel like I have the right to stand next to them. It's still not the same. Like, when I hear myself, I'm like, oh, it's not the same though. It's just not. Like, there's I do think there is some people say you shouldn't essentialize race, but I also am a firm believer that black people are the original people, from whom everybody else descends. And I don't think there's nothing self-hating about that. Like, modern people have to think they're better than their parents. Whereas, like, everybody before the modern world, it's like we love to look up to our ancestors
Yeah.
and our grandparents and our whatever. It's like, that's who I come from. I'm from their cloth in some kind of way. And so all the things that everybody ended up doing, like the seed for all of that, is all in black folks. And so there's something there that is very, very special. And it's also very specially human. And it's not mythical, and it's not magical, and it's not, but it's very, very human. Like, all of everything that's come out in humanity over the last however long human beings have been here, all of the original stuff for that is in black folks. And so, yeah, Yeah, it's interesting, man. You saying that you likening the racial identity thing to gender. There are people that will get really upset at that, even just broaching that subject. Um,
I
and I
think
don't know. All I know is my experience.
Yeah, no, no. I think that's just me being in like I said, I think that's why I'm like interested in like counseling, but more specifically like the idea of sociology. Like I'm interested in why people are the way that they are. And
Yeah.
some people have nuance for certain things and they lose it for other things.
Right.
And
Right.
I feel
Right.
like it's like that's nuance, but this is like it's like no, it's not really just that straight and narrow. So I think
Right.
race is a topic that is very, very interesting, and that's just me, man. Like, I'm just one of those people that like am very, very interested in like, well, why is that person like this? Like okay, like even if like it could be offensive behavior, it could be like a serial killer. But I'm like, damn, how did bro get here though? Because I'm pretty sure he
Right.
wasn't born murderous. Like, how did he get to the point where he was killing 13 people? So like that type of stuff.
There's so many other things to do with your time. There's so many other things to dedicate your life to. Like, how did this become the thing? Have you ever mess with Dr. Resma Minikim, racialized trauma specialist? He's been on the Breakfast Club and stuff. So he talks about the role that trauma plays in all of this. And man, there is something that really feels deeply, deeply true in his work. That part of it has been the experience, not just of an individual, and I think it's becoming more and more common for us to talk about generational trauma and things like that, but just the ways that our bodies have been forced to respond to these crimes against humanity of the last several hundred years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That a lot of it is impacted by that. A lot of it is impacted by, like, there is a very deadly phenomenon happening around race that's deadly. And whether you're the one in danger of dying, whether you're the one doing the killing, whether you're the one witnessing it, whether you're the one hearing about, like, it's impacting everybody in some kind of way. And, like, so our relationship with that deadly charge has a lot to do with who we are, how we respond to each other, how we relate to each other. There's something in that part of it too, I think.
What's his name again? The guy, Doctor.
Resma, Resmaa, Menakem, Menekem.
I see him. Hey, I'm gonna do some research because, like I said, this type of stuff is super duper interesting to me. So yeah, I have to check out some of his interviews and read some of his stuff.
So I think so. He's the one that said he's amazing, and he's my friend. He's been on my podcast. I did. I have a son who is very clearly black. Some mixed, like my daughters are lighter, but my son, when you look at my son, it's like, oh, you're seeing a black man.
Yeah.
So he and I did therapy together with Dr. Resma, and man, so Resma said un unprocessed and uncontextualized trauma in a person over time, when it out of context, looks like their personality, but
Mm,
it's really their unprocessed trauma. In a family, it looks like the family dynamic, but it's actually trauma. He said in a people, it starts to look like culture, but that's not culture. That's unprocessed trauma that's decontextualized. And so a couple albums ago, when Kendrick said that's not culture, that's so and so, I feel like he might have heard Dr. Resma say that.
I know exactly. That's yeah. I thought that was because he was like that's culture. Da, da, da. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was yeah. I mean that type of
He's
stuff.
rapping on the Marvin Gaye thing.
Yeah, yeah. Which man, I don't feel like anybody talked about it. I love when people do stuff like that because it wasn't like a direct sample of Marvin Gaye. They like replayed it and had live instruments. Like that was beautiful. Like the music aspect of that song was nuts.
And what he's saying there is light years ahead of They're Not Like Us and all this stuff. Man, it's like, again, the way that black folks respond and survive and whatever, what this is completely up to them. But what I hate, like, I know I hate like, with all caps, just how happy people are to suddenly see black people fight. And, like, And like suddenly, like now, there's all these hours of videos of people breaking down lyrics and all this kind of stuff. It's like, man, that to me, that's Kendrick's least interesting music, in my opinion. Man, some of the other stuff he did on that album, the Mr. Morales album, and so many other things. It's like, man, this man has said and done so much that people outside the culture weren't that interested in.
You know, I think it is the music because Kendrick is probably, I would say, probably my favorite rapper ever at this point. Like
Mm,
that's like I love Kendrick. To Pimp a Butterfly, the music on there, I don't think would resonate with the general public because it's like
mm,
jazz and some just like he's doing like spoken word with the this dick ain't free. Like it's just like it's so all over the place that I love it. I understand other people not loving that. And y'all kind of talked about that on the Jake One album, or not Jake One album, the Jake One interview, where you were talking
mm.
about going to like these conscious hip hop shows and it was nothing but white people. You'll see, and I remember he said he went to like a Sun Ra show and it's nothing but white people. And I don't know if it was you or him, and you was like, it's probably like just it's the hippies because they're just trying to see something different or whatnot. And while the black people are not at those shows or whatnot. But like you said, when Kendrick kind of switches up his sound, because like the sound of the new music sounds different from Mr. Morales or GNX, you know, like so I mean our Mr. Morales or Pimp to Pimp Butterfly sounds very different from GNX. So I think a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people move by that sound. And if it doesn't sound like what they want it to sound like, the lyrics doesn't even matter. But you can put like a crazy beat with some bass, and he could be talking freaking pro black, all type of crazy stuff. People will love it. Like, man, this is amazing. But it's
Yeah,
the beat and it's the I feel like I don't know. The general public is just they don't get moved by that, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. I talked to brother Jay um from X Clan, and we talked a lot about that. I didn't realize that brother Jay had produced a lot of the X Clan music, and yeah, I mean what they did, and Ice Cube did the same thing a couple years later. But the whole idea of like we're gonna sample the same funk that Ice Cube and them are or that Dre and them are sampling, and we're gonna talk about consciousness over it. And yeah, it did have an impact. And yeah, no, it's real. Like yeah, the sound of the music has a definitely makes a big difference.
So are you familiar with Dead Prez, the
Of
group?
course, of course.
So one of my closest friends, his father went to college with one of them. They
Okay.
went to FAMU, and he just knows like little inside stories. And he would tell me their song. My mom, I swear to God, man, to this day, if it comes on, but like growing up, if their hip hop song is bigger than hip hop, like my mom turns that up to a ignorant volume. I mean, like the TV stops at 100, she found a way to put it on 110. Like she plays that song so loud. And one of the things that he told my friend's father was that was like strategic. They was like, we're gonna put the most ignorant bass on this song that we can and speak like the most like prolific type of black pro black stuff on here. So that's a thing that people do, and that was interesting because I never thought about that until he told me that.
Yeah, and you also have to have you have to be able to make that. You got to sell it. Like it's got to feel authentic.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like somebody who's not doesn't also have that in them can't pull that off like that. But yeah, man, when it is done like that, it's really powerful.
Hey, you pick some of the best beats. So we're talking about like beats and production. Your production that you rap on is always great to me. And I'll kind of want to take a step back to tell you how I found you. I
Okay.
found you probably like nobody else did. Like the first song I heard from you, I can probably guarantee nobody else says this is the first Brother Ali song I heard. You know, what the first song I heard from you was
What's that?
you say, and I am big bad body rocking. Failure is not an option. I've been grinding 9 to 5 like Dolly Parton. Art for talk,
Ah,
make 'em lean like Oxycontin. You know what that is?
yeah. Yeah. It's from Jake One produced it. It's from the Left in the Deck tape. But
That's the
yeah, that
end.
never even came out. That's not on streaming services or like
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I know I'm the only person that discovered you from that. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is amazing. I love that album. That album was my introduction to you. that's probably still maybe top two album for me for you. I love that album, and I wish it was on streaming because that is such a good project.
Thank you, man. Yeah, when I first decided to work with Jake One, we it was just like, all right, I'm just gonna rap. Like I'm gonna take all these bangers that he's got, and I'm just gonna rap on them. And I started making an album like that at home, just with a handheld mic, like demos. And then I went on Hajj. I like went to Mecca for a month, and then I came back, and my whole thing was readjusted, and like that whole thing that happens on Hajj. And so I was like, no, it's got to be, And we ended up making like an activist kind of album where I'm kneeling and praying on the American flag and all this kind of stuff. And we got done with it, and Jake was like, "That's fine, but we got to figure out something." Like he's like, "We just make a tape, make a mixtape with all these songs that just you rapping, and don't re-record them. Just put out the homemade versions." And it's like 2012 or 13, so it wasn't popular to do then. So I put them out, and it's interesting because Tyler and Earl and those guys were like, "That's what we wanted you to do."
Mhm.
Like, man, those dudes were like, man, nobody want to hear no albino do a bunch of pro black shit. It's like, man, just tear that mic up, man. What are you doing?
That's funny. I interviewed Jake one a few months ago, and he said the same thing. He was like, I know Ali want to have like a message and everything he does. He was like, but I wanted that to be the album. He was like, because he was going crazy on that album. So he said the same thing to me. And Morning in America is a great album. It is a fantastic album. But I think the tape has like a special place in my heart because that's the first time I ever heard you.
Wow.
And if I'm not mistaken, you know how I found out about you? It was through Dead and Hip Hop. I think Dead and Hip Hop reviewed that, if I'm not mistaken. And that was during a point in time where I was watching everything Dead and Hip Hop, and I was like, okay, Mike and them seem to like it, so let me check it out. And yeah, ever since then, I've been on the Brother Ali train.
That's right. They did review that. Yeah, man. Yeah, Mike and those dudes, like, they're one of the like few hip hop outlets that really looks at all of hip hop. And so they include me and my friends when a lot of people don't. And man, I just love those dudes. I know Mike is always they always tease Mike like, man, that's the biggest Brother Ali fan. I'm like, man, I'm the biggest Mike Seatown fan. You know how validated I feel?
No, he's one of those people where like because he could be a tough critic. So if Mike Seatown likes an album, I'm like, let me check it out because he'll sit on something that's amazing to me, and I'm like, how don't you like this? So yeah, when he gave you the approval, I was like, all right, let me see this, and I started doing my research. Then I found out like, okay, that's probably not the first time I ever heard you. The first time I would assume I heard you was me playing Madden because you're on the Madden soundtrack. I think that was Madden '08. So I probably heard you as a kid, had no clue who it was. I was like, oh, I like this song. But me knowingly going out to seek out Brother Ali, it was definitely the tape. And man,
That's dope.
I can't
I mean,
express the gratitude I have. I love that tape so much, bro.
man, that means a lot. And yeah, so when we made that, so when I started working with Jake One, like I love Ant. He's probably my dearest, closest friend. I make music with him. I can't make anybody else, like really personal things. I'm probably, a version of myself only with him that I can only do with him. But the idea of making music with Jake was just like you were saying, the sonics, the beats, it's like I'm gonna work with somebody that's working with Rick Ross and, at that time it was Rick Ross and those kind of guys. And so 50 Cent and all. And so when I got on that, that was the idea is like maybe if I rhyme on some different music with different sonics, I can get more of the hip hop world to open their ears to what I'm doing. But then, yeah, then I ended up making this political album, and that's the one that got promoted. And all the things of me rhyming in my basement just kind of got put out as a mixtape that never really saw the light of day.
How do you balance because you are activists, you stand for a lot of things, you use your voice. How do you balance that with like being artistic or just being the MC? Like how do you balance that? Because like you said, you were going to make the the tape first, but then it turned to More in America, and that was a completely different album. So how do you balance that from the perspective of, man, I have to have a message in here, or this is going to be a fun album? Like, do you like does that kind of like are you like a tug of war type of thing where it's like I have to say something on this album, you know?
Yeah, it's just kind of like wherever I'm at, like whatever I'm focused on in my life, that's the thing I focus on the record. So my first album was called Shadows on the Sun, and it's all like the seeds for all of it are on that record. There's like political stuff, there's racial stuff, there's a lot of funny stuff, there's a lot of personal stuff, there's me trying to rip the mic up, there's stories. All of it's on that record, and that's the most balanced that it's ever been, because that's just me showing up at the studio every day like, oh, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this, let me try, like it was all brand new. And ever since then, it's like whatever I'm focused on. And then also, sometimes I have to admit that it's like, where do I feel I'm at with the people that actually listen to me, and what do I think they might, what do I want to say to them?
Mm,
So like when I made Morning in America, that was like, I saw that, like, okay, because for years I was touring, I was going between two worlds just like the rest of my life. So I would go on tour with Public Enemy, Ghostface, Rakim, Brand Nubian. I was like touring with all of those kind of guys, MF Doom, Sean Price, so like very, very traditional, mostly pro black hip hop. And I would get on stage every day, and I had to earn it, but I always did, and it always felt so good.
mm,
And then also I'm like with my heroes, so that part's dope. But then when I would go and perform for like white audiences, like underground, you know, that listen to Atmosphere, Aesop Rock, like that kind of audience, those people, I didn't have to earn it. They were just like, they were trying to earn being around me.
mm,
Like those, so when I started headlining my tours, like those people showed up in droves. And there would always be, all my shows, there's like a pocket of black folks that are just, that are just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna need Ali to hurry up and come on because I'm not sure if I feel comfortable in here. You know what I mean? And I don't, I'm part of being albino is I'm partially blind. So it's like when I see those people, I can't always see them. It takes me a minute sometimes to be like, oh, okay, all right, I see you guys, I see y'all. Um, but so most of my audience is an underground white audience. And so there's times where I'm like, okay, Malcolm X had that experience where the white lady came and said, I want to be a good white person. What can I do to help you? And he said nothing.
mm,
And in the movie, it looks super cold. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But because he was like, you can't do anything for me.
mm,
That's the whole thing about the Nation of Islam. It's like, you've done enough. We'll take it from here. Like, this is our thing now. And that's what I love about them. But in his autobiography, he said, after he went to Mecca, he said, if I could see her again, I would tell her, you don't need to come to the black world to fight racism. Racism comes from where you come from. You're accepted there. You can have an impact on the way, on the like, on your culture. So if you want to do something, you're in a position that I, as Malcolm X, could never be in. And I took that to heart, especially once I saw like I have all these white fans. Whether or not they liked me in high school or not is irrelevant. Any
mm.
hurt feelings I have, I got to put that to the side. And so it's like, what would I like to say to them? If they want to clap for me and listen to me, and I have their ear, and I believe that they're connecting with me on a human level, so I have their heart in some kind of way. It's like, how can I share my experience and how I see things with whoever might listen? So when I get in that bag, it's usually because of that. It's usually like, let me make sure that I'm saying what I want to say to the people that I think may hear it from me if they don't hear it from somebody else. Um, so when I'm doing that, that's why.
You make that point about like touring like with the underground white rappers and like it's like a pocket of black people there and they're like, we're just here to see Brother Ali. Goes back to me saying it's because you smooth, man. Black people like smoothness, bro, and you got that smooth tone to you that it reminds you of listening to like a black person. Like I always say, uh, I think if you put 10 people behind a curtain, if half of them were white, half of them were black, I could be able to tell who is black and who's white just by listening to their voice. Because sometimes white people have this tendency when they talk, it sounds like it just sounds very I don't know, like they're reading a book almost. It's almost just like kind of to the text. Where black people, damn near black people got like a rhythm when they're talking. It's almost like it's a rhythmic when they're talking, and you have that type of rhythmic soul about you that that's why you'll get a black person in a sea of nothing but white hip hop heads at your show because they like we like the way you smooth with it. So I do think that's like a big appeal to why you see black people at your shows like that.
Yeah, it's deep, man. It's interesting. Like it's funny. Like I'll have sometimes there'll be like people that are on like new to being on tour with me, like
Hmm.
the and it's interesting to see them see the people that come see me, if that makes sense. Like seeing my audience through there, but then also the people that I know that are at the show that like come backstage and it's weird, like, because there's times where like how things this probably happens to a lot of people, but like you have a life that's full of all this just wild stuff, and they become stories that you tell, and then something will come along and be like, no, that really happened. It's almost like, damn, that's not just a story I tell, like that's real, like something that so like on this last tour I did, there was a number of people that came through um that just were like, hey, you remember when back, remember when we were 19 and we did so and so and this and that and blah 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 blah. We almost, whatever. We broke up that fight with those dudes and this happened and da da da. And I'll be like, damn, that's right. That actually happened. Like that really was my life. You know what I mean? Um, or just like elders that were coming through. All these, it's a trip, man. Um, it's just really a blessing. It's really a profound blessing. You know what I mean? Um, that man, it's all tied together to me, and like what black folks have been through the worst that human that I don't know that there's been another group of people that have been through this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've read all the scriptures. I've read, you know what I mean? I don't know. And have just given back so much beauty in return,
Mm.
and are just remain to be like the healers of the world. Like even all the people that have such low opinions of black folks or don't care at all. It's like, okay, what are you playing at your wedding though? Or like when you want to cry or when you want to feel something or when you want to, have some spice in your life or something, who are you going to? Like who actually makes life worth living as a person with a heart, you know? I think everybody's experiencing that. It's just most people have this aversion to it, that makes them not be able to just really sit with what that is, because it's dangerous the second you sit with what the reality of that, the second you fully acknowledge this, like you're either a complete traitor or you're at war, you're in the war in some kind of way, because it is a war.
Yeah.
You're either like, and that's why it's easier to just kind of be like, well, no one owns music. All right, um which is why like I appreciate what Lord Jamar is saying. You know what I mean? Always. Like Lord Jamar is one of the first people to take me on tour.
Mm.
And I've always loved him. And I understand what he's saying about, you know, like he and Tariq Nasheed and certain others have this thing about like foundational Black Americans and, you know, and basically saying like, Puerto Ricans are getting a lot of credit for, and Jamaicans for having had a lot to do with the creation of hip hop. And I don't know if I necessarily would say it the way that he's saying it, but it can't be denied that Black people have been at the center of every single, ever since the creation of the modern world with like white supremacy and this type of chattel slavery and everything like that. The world stopped producing culture that actually gives meaning to life,
Mm.
whether it's religion or all of these things, except for the people that everybody tries to say are not human
Mm.
and tried to rob of everything that human beings require to be healthy and to, it's miraculous. It's like I don't know how we can be alive in this time and that's not the main story. That's the main story of what's happening with the human beings from the 1400s until now. If that's not what we're talking about, I think we're missing the point
Yeah.
like that's the headline for humanity.
No, it's interesting because like I don't know when you just break it down and you look at like you talk about like the thing of like nobody owns music or nobody owns like it is funny you do only really hear that with black people. It's like nobody owns hair, nobody owns music, nobody owns whatever. You know, it is. I never thought about it that way, but it is kind of only directed towards black people when it's like that. It's interesting you say that.
Paul Mooney said they don't want you to have nothing. They don't want you to have a headache. Give me that headache. So they don't want you to have a headache.
You know, God bless his soul. Um, One of my favorite, was this on his last album? No, this was on his album before his last. But Ka had a song. I think I forget. It's like I forget the name of it, but the hook is him just saying like, "I want my hair, I want my culture, I want," like he just saying like he want it all back, and like it's a very powerful song, and it just goes to what you're saying about like nobody owns this or whatnot, and yeah, man, it's I don't know, you kind of got me thinking. I've just never thought about
And
it.
it really means we own you.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we're not allowed to legally own your body anymore. But it's fine. But then also, man, it's like it's this like thing of like we can't live without you,
yeah.
and we hate being compared to you.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So there's nothing we can do about the fact that there's nothing to do about the things that are undeniable, like physical. You can't like if someone is singing or dunking a basketball or even just looking at the human physique, that's you can't argue with that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There's no arguing. Well, okay, like you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, but what we can do is like create all these weird like twists of narrative and language and stuff like that to try to diminish the other things.
mm,
So like the things that come you know, like you're just to try to paint this picture of like you're anything other than the creators and like the originators of all the human stuff, math, science, religion, like all the things that make us human. Um Yeah, and like so like yeah, once you really just to acknowledge that is then you have to either completely go to sleep or you're in the war in some kind of way. Like even on a heart level, it's just like man, if we're really when the lines are drawn, what's what? Even just on a heart level, even if it's you know what I mean, even if it's not anything else, it's like I'm on a team and my body reacts. You know what I mean? Like I'm in a place where my body reacts to certain things. Um, Yeah, love is an amazing thing, man.
yeah. No, I totally agree. And even kind of going back where you were talking about, you've gotten acknowledged by all of your idols and heroes, people that you rock with growing up. Um, that brings me to, I was going to talk about this a little later, but we might as well get into it. My favorite song on the new album is, man, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I play it the most, so maybe it's my favorite. Immortalized. I
Mm.
love Immortalized, and that's how you start off with the just the reminder that I stood eye to eye with my top five. And I have a few things that I want to say about this song. One, this is a nerdy question that I'm very curious about. You performed that on the radar. Did you realize you switched a word in that?
I don't know. Maybe
So,
if you say it, I'll know, but
so
I
you
can't
said
remember.
just a reminder that I stood out my top five, went line to line on every continent sign. That's where you said on the album. On the radar, you said you went line to line on 7 continents.
Yeah, I meant to say yeah, because I meant to say numbers. Just a reminder that I stood out of Iowa in the top five, fed 4 babies and 2 wives all our lives. I meant to say 7 continent sign. That's what I wrote, but then when I actually recorded the verse, I just said it different when I recorded it.
Got you. So seven was supposed to be what you said on the actual album.
Yeah, and
Mm.
also I think maybe I did because I've you can't actually go to all 7 continents. I don't think I've actually been on six.
What is it? What is it? Is it like Antarctica you can't go to, if I'm not
I
mistaken?
think so, but I think like my body won't let me tell a lie. It's just like nah, boy,
That's
you have been in no damn 7 continents, man. Stop that.
That's super funny. Another thing about that, first of all, before we get into that, this song is amazing. Like your rapping is, like the flow that you chose to do on here is very hard. Like that's not a, like sometimes I'll try to rap to a beat and I'm like, how would I attack this? The
Uh,
way that you did it, that was, it's not a, that wasn't a simple flow. Like the way that you're breaking that beat down, that was very intricate. Like maybe it comes easy to you because your brother Ali, but that is a very intricate flow right there on that song.
So I was channeling a little bit Black Thought
Mm,
um and Pusha T.
mm.
So like the most of it is Black Thought. Like this, I was just kind of channeling that because when we're doing that, so Black Thought has always been really nice to me. He's one of the sweetest, most down to earth people in the world. Like he acts like he doesn't know he's Black Thought. Pharaoh Monch the same way. Some people have a gravitas to him as like they know they're them. Like Rakim knows he's Rakim, but he uses it beautifully. He uses it to like elevate people, and he uses it in a beautiful way. But it's like you talk to Black Thought and Pharoah Monch, like they don't even know that they're them. Like those are two of the greatest ever. But I was thinking in my mind when I got that beat, I was like, I bet if I asked Tariq to be on this, he might do it. And so when I was writing that, I was like, let me make sure that the way what I put on this thing, if he jumps on it, I feel okay. So some of that was him, but then there's one braid languages like Creole, something like if Neo was a griot. In my mind, I was thinking Pusha T on that.
I can hear that. That is the 100% Black Thought, and that part is 1,000% Pusha T. I can hear that.
I don't know
Like,
Pusha T,
yeah,
but Black Thought is my friend.
that's fire. No, I could definitely hear that. And the other thing I was gonna say was looking at that on the radar performance. Great performance, by the way. Um, it made me realize because I seen people liking it, and I seen people who followed you, and I was like, there's so many people. I bet you have no idea who they are that follow you and are fans of you, who are like really like dope people. And I just thought that was interesting because one of the people was a guy who I regard as the best Florida lyricist of all time. I'm from Florida, so I think he's the best lyricist to ever come from Florida. It's a guy named Rob Banks. Rob Banks is super duper talented. He's been rapping since I don't know for like 2012, 2013, and he just said he said a lot of bars that I'm just like, yeah, I've never heard anybody say this. I've never heard anybody even have talk about this topic the way he's doing it. So I had sent it to him because I seen he liked it, and I was like, you tapped in with Brother Ali, and he was like, I think he was like the legend or the goat, and I was like, of course you are. So shout out to Rob Banks. Also, uh Shaggy's son, the he's Shaggy's the reggae artist's son. So he's amazing. So shout out to Rob Banks.
Are you hip to Raina Simone? She's from New York. She's a younger woman, black woman. Man, she makes beats and she rhymes. She's amazing. So she's the one that I saw. She's the first person I ever saw on the radar. And
Mm.
I honestly wanted to do that show because I saw her, and then I saw all these other people do it. But she's the one. When I saw her, I was like, "Who is this? What is this platform? This is crazy." Um, and it's funny because when I did it, she put a bunch of fire emojis under it, and I was like, "I did this because of you." And she's like, "You know who I am?" I was like, "You know who I am?" You know what I mean? Yeah, like being on those platforms are great
Yeah.
for that reason because it's like Sway is like that too, where it's like turn the mic on and people just do what they do, and like one person isn't going to be as famous as another one. They might not make hits, they might not be whatever, but let's just turn the mic on and see what we're each able to do.
No, that is a fact. And just by that, like I said, just looking through like mutual followers, people who follow you that I follow. One more person I realized that I have to mention. There's a wrestler by the name of MVP who follows you,
Okay.
and
uh,
he's a black guy. He's like an older black guy, like maybe late 40s, early 50s, and super duper intelligent black guy. He was like the first wrestler who I knew that was like a Muslim, and I always found that to be interesting when I first discovered him. But he's super duper interesting, super duper smart, very well spoken, and he raps from time to time. He has his entrance music, so he comes out. It's rapped by West Side Gun, and he has like
Crazy.
a few songs. He has a few songs with West Side Gun and Smoke DZA. So yeah, that's somebody who I don't even know if you would connect with him, but I don't know. I just wanted to make mention that like a very huge wrestler who's like on TV every week, getting like millions of eyes. He's a brother Ali supporter. So I just wanted
I'm gonna
to.
check him out, man. I appreciate you putting me on because I feel what's interesting is like if I go look, I might be like, oh, that's Hakeem or something. You know what I mean? Like I might. Sometimes I know people and don't know that I what my connection to them is.
Got you,
Like
got
that
you.
Muslim community thing is deep. So like I know SZA's dad. I
Really?
know I know Wiz Khalifa's grandfather. Um, I've met T Pain's parents at a convention one time before I knew who any of those three of those folks were. You know what I mean?
So crazy. I had no idea that. I knew SZA, but I didn't know the other two had Muslim parents or grandparents. That's interesting.
Yeah, Wiz Khalifa, he's a sweet guy too. Like I haven't seen him in many years, but we used to be on like when he was coming up, we were on the festival circuit together. And so we'd be on all the big festivals, but like early in the day. And so I would see him and Big Sean and I that's so a lot of the guys that I know, like ASAP Rocky and them, I met them when we were in a similar place in life. And now they're all you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Earl and certain other people. Um but yeah, so Wiz Khalifa's grandfather is actually an imam. Like he's like a leader in our community. Like, and I've known him since I was, 17 or something.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, I was gonna say like even bringing up the ASAP Rocky thing. You set up that video right where ASAP Rocky meets ASAP Rock for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was crazy. I think Peter Rosenberg recorded that, and you helped set that up. So that was a cool moment. No, like that's interesting. I had no clue that all those people were like had like Muslim backgrounds or Muslim parents or grandparents. But um, that's interesting. It's like a brotherhood. Would you say like that you've built with being a Muslim? You would say it's like a
I'm not
brotherhood.
in the Muslim Brotherhood for our friends that are listening. I'm not in the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know them. I don't no. No, but yeah, no, it's a real community and
Yeah.
and it has something similar to denominations.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So like the Nation of Islam are not the exact same as the five percenters, are not exactly it's the same as like the black Sunni Muslims are not exactly this. And then even within Sunni Muslims, there's Salafis and Sufis and um but yeah, like that world is one that, like we know each other.
yeah.
Or at the very least, we know people. So, so like I said, like I don't know Scissor like that, but I know her dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's hard. And I guess kind of going back to the album, this album is so good, and probably laced you with some of his best beats. I feel like ever. Like these beats are insane. You were rapping great drum. What do you say, Jeff Fortified like a Vice Lord? That was crazy to me. The hook on that too. Let the drummer get some. Let the drummer get some. Boom, doom, 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 doom. Like that is like so in my head. What else is on here? Higher Learning at the Skyway. It's between that and Immortalized for my favorite songs. I play that all the time. That beat is nuts. You went crazy on there. What else is on? I mean, everything on here is like very, very good. Two Dudes is great. Um, Everything on here, and I guess I'll start from there with the story on Two Dudes about Justin Timberlake. I thought that was like a joke until I went on your Instagram and I saw, oh no, this actually happened. So for people who have not heard Two Dudes, could you please explain the story of Justin Timberlake and you?
So this is maybe 2008 or 9, maybe 2010. I get invited by these guys who have a snowboarding magazine to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which became famous later because Kanye West had a studio there. A bunch of famous people ended up being there, but before that, it was a really well-known like ski snowboarding destination. Snowboarding is a rich people sport, kind of. You know what I'm saying? And so we go there to do the party for this snowboarding magazine. And so we get there to do the thing. It's in this tiny little club. There's like no security. It's a little place. So they're like, we've never had a rap show here before. So we get in there. Me and my DJ are doing our thing. And there's rich people in there. There's a bunch of models in there. There's some like actors, and it's like it's so bizarre. Like because we're in the like this country little tiny town, but there's all these like A-list people there. And so I'm on stage performing. I wasn't prepared for this. I'm not dressed for it. I just got on a jersey and some jeans and some Air Force Ones and like I'm just whatever. I'm thinking I'm going to Wyoming. Yeah, like I'm not tripping. I'm just going to pick up, do a show, have some fun, pick up my money, go home. I'm on stage doing my thing. And then suddenly I hear like a different beat. Like I'm rapping to my beat, but I'm hearing a different music. And part of being albino is I'm legally blind. So like I look around and I can't figure out what's going on. Finish the song, I go ask my DJ. Oh, I know. I turn around and there's a white dude. He's got a hat pulled down. He's like a skinny little dude. He's like this, and he's beatboxing on a microphone. And I'm like, oh hell no! Like what? You know what I mean? So I go over and I pull the mic out of his hand. I say, get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? And he gives me this look like, bro, it's cool. I'm like, no, it's not cool. You don't just get on the stage when somebody's performing. Get your ass off the stage. Kick him off the stage. I finish the song. I turn around. I go to the DJ, who's BK1, is my like partner in to this day. And I'm like, why did you let that guy on stage? And he said, because it's Justin Timberlake. And I was like, for real, why'd you? He was like, that's Justin Timberlake, and you just kicked him off stage. I said, oh man. So I went back and I grabbed him and I'm like, hey, I can't see. I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was you. So he came back on. I said, please, man, I'm so sorry. So he came back on stage. He beatboxed. I was trying to freestyle and it was like very mediocre freestyling because I'm trying to think like, what should I be saying as my rhymes right now? And so we do our thing, and then he leaves, and then all the women go to him, like so it becomes about him almost. And then he bounced, he left,
Mm,
and so the guys that ran the magazine knew him, and they said, "Hey, Justin wants you to know he's a fan. He like genuinely loves your music. He's glad he got to connect with you. The only reason he left is because he didn't want to take attention away from you."
mm,
And I was like, man, that's really sweet. And so I reached out to him. I asked like, could you connect me with him? Because there was one of the people that were like the like safety people on the snowboard lanes or whatever were volunteers from that community, and one of them had died recently. So I had this song that I was like, hey, uh, it had a singing chorus. So I was like, yo, Justin, do you want to sing the chorus of this? And we'll donate the money to this man's family. And he said, yeah. He does what everybody does. He said, yeah, and then it just never happened. And so Nikki Jean, who sang the hook on Lupe Hip Hop Saved My Life, she ended up singing it. Um, but yeah, so it never went anywhere beyond that. But it's just one of those, like I said, in my life, a lot of stuff like that happened on a very regular basis at that time period for a strong 10 years.
that's crazy. So like, it's interesting. Like, I this might be like an ignorant question, but like, you were legally blind.
Yeah.
What? How do I ask this question? Like, what? How would you explain your vision? Like, because can you see like? Are you seeing like like I don't know how to ask this
Yeah,
question, but
yeah, yeah. No,
like,
it's tough to describe because first of all, I've never seen anything different. So it's
yeah,
hard for me to know like how what I see is different from what you might see. But so I got three things going on at the same time. I have this very, very low vision, which like glasses, it's so low that like glasses can't really help it.
mm,
Like glasses magnify things when I'm like if I want to like read a book or something. But it's just like if you put on like readers from the grocery store, it's like that. It just kind of is like a magnifying glass. It doesn't really help me see. So that's part of it. And then albinos are extremely sensitive to light.
yeah,
So you might notice I have like a very low light on here, and to me, this is any more than this, I'm squinting or wearing shades.
yeah,
So very very light sensitive, and then I don't have depth perception. So like normally when the two eyes work together, that's how you know how far away something is. I don't have that, and so like when I'm outside walking, I just can't see most things. If it's bright, or if there's like, you know, very bright in some places, shadowy in other places, that's really hard. And then I'm constantly missing like if the sidewalk goes up or down a little bit, I'm just gonna trip.
mm,
I'm just tripping, you know. So anything that you need to do, anything you need to be able to see, so like driving a car, um owning a gun, like all kind of stuff that you need to be cited to legally do, I can't do any of that stuff.
mm,
So it's, I don't know how to say it other than like I can see some things but I don't think I'm seeing most things. um I know when social media came out and I could actually like zoom in on
yeah,
people I know, I'm like, oh, so and so looks like this. I can see all kind of things that I could never see before.
mm.
And mostly it's cool. Sometimes it's a problem. As a Muslim, you're not supposed to look at certain things. And I'm just like, oh, so and so's got some okay. You know what I mean?
That's it. I've never thought about social media kind of like helping you see things you've never seen before because you could zoom in and be like, oh, okay, this is like what this looks like. That's interesting. And it's funny
Screens
because
and screens in general, because like I can see things on the screen that
yeah,
I can't see in real life. So it's like
uh-huh.
everybody's addicted to screens. But my wife has told me like she's like you scroll more even more than like I scroll too much.
When you were in school, did you learn about did it teach about people who were albino?
No.
I did.
There-
So I wonder is that a newer thing? I learned about that in seventh grade when we were talking about the I forget what it's called, but it's like the recessive gene or if you're talking about like the box, the I forget the box called, but it's like basically saying like what traits you would get, what traits are recessives and stuff like that. So I remember the day we were talking about people who were albino, and it was very interesting to me. That was seventh grade, so I wonder if that's something that's taught everywhere, or if that was just in Jacksonville. But yeah, we had like a whole week where we talked about like vision problems because I knew that sensitive light thing because of that. So that's interesting.
that's wild. Yeah, that would have been cool to have something other than there was always this like horror movies, like the bad guy in a horror movie would be albino from time to time.
Real, what movie is that?
Oh man. I feel like Night at the Museum or something. There was one where like a dude had magical powers. There's a bunch of them. I mean, I intentionally didn't watch them. Like I was
Yeah,
just like, I will not. I've always been a little activist kind of guy. I will
yeah,
not watch. You know what I mean? I never
yeah.
watched any of them, so I don't know. But I know
Got you.
people would be like, "You, oh, it's like the bad guy from so and so." Oh, there was a movie called Powder. I know that. I just remember from doing the dozens, and people would look Powder.
Would did that ever like because growing up, like you said, like people are kids are mean, they're picking on you, da da da. Did you ever have to develop like because I always say like growing up like a black boy and growing around other black boys and I'm wearing bonnets and stuff. I had to learn how to roast. I had to learn how to joke and come back. Did you ever have to develop that ability to almost like as like a defense mechanism?
Absolutely. And it's actually it's the first thing that I noticed with like the difference between how white people responded to me being albino and black folks because white people the jokes were dehumanizing or like
Mm,
the things they were saying and laughing about were just horrible. I mean, that's when AIDS was new, like when I was a kid in the 80s and so
yeah.
it was like oh, he's got AIDS or like his mom and dad are brother and sister or all this kind of stuff. But with black folks, it was like, oh, these jokes are just funny. And they seem to be telling they're funny. They're legitimately funny. And like, oh, they seem to tell these same kind of jokes about each other all the time. Like, this is just a language almost. Like, this is a culture within and there's very subtle nuances with like, how far can you go that shows either how much you love, how close you are with somebody. It's like you can talk about certain things, but like other people can't. If somebody else said that, it's a fight. Or just in general, like um, like if you knew that somebody's mom was on drugs or something, like you wouldn't really hit somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I
always
mean?
a line. It's always a line where it's like we don't even have it's like an unspoken thing where it's like we're not gonna talk about your dead mom or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like anything like that, it's like, all right, now we're going a little too far.
Yeah, it's usually things that are just very noticeable. Like
Yeah.
if you're very overweight or you got, you got some funny shoes on or something like that, it's usually just very noticeable things. But then, as you get to know somebody and it's a language that and it has a lot, I mean, definitely battle rap has a lot to do with roasting, but I mean, hip hop in general, like roasting is one of the things. And it's a trip like so I started going to West Africa a lot and you start seeing like the origin of a lot of these things.
Mm,
So like, I would go like my sheikh, my Muslim teacher would be I go to a thing and he's speaking and like if the sheikh stops talking for a minute, somebody will get up and just start reciting and like singing poetry,
mm,
either about the sheikh or about the Prophet Muhammad or something like that. And people like if they feel it, they'll come and like throw money on the person. Like they make it rain on the person
mm.
And then he'll sit down and the sheikh will finish his talk. And if the sheikh stops for again, somebody else will stand up and they'll be louder and longer. And like, and then people will come and sprinkle money on them. And like, they have it in a special bag. And it's like, there's a ritual. I'm like, oh, like making it rain comes from people actually paying like griots to tell stories and poems. And like, this is actually like a community fundraiser. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like a, you know what I mean? And like, this person's not twerking. It's the opposite. Like, you see
Yep.
how things get twisted and corrupted in this system, you know? And one of the things is like, man, people have their issues and people have their like differences in tribes and things. And people use humor to out differences. And they do it in a way where like you can actually address something without somebody losing their dignity.
Mm,
So there's this man that I know that like when he does business, he always shorts people. Like he's always trying to short you in business. Like if you do business with him, you just know he's gonna short you.
mm,
Um, but to say that would be to dishonor him, his wife and children, his family, his cousins, his brother and sisters, his extended family, maybe his whole tribe. You cannot say that. Like you cannot say that. It would be like everybody would lose something if you said that. But you also can't just let it slide. So
yeah.
they do it jokingly. So like when he's paying out money, someone will take their glasses off and like put their glasses on him. They'll be like, "No, brother, you need this one." And it's like everyone's laughing, but it's kind of like, "Hey, man, like you owe me $7 more." You know, and it's like that is these are things that you see show up, and there's a genius to that. It's not just people act like comedy is just comedy. It's survival and the level of nuance um of being able to like communicate something difficult with a person, respecting the fact that they're human, respecting the fact that we're all human and we all got weird stuff that needs to be addressed, but we're not going to dishonor you. Do it in a way that makes everybody laugh. And it's like this is high level interhuman technology
Mhm.
that's not being respected that way. It's just like, oh yeah, black fellas are funny. No, man, this is a technology between people that's extremely wise.
I'm trying to think of the word. I can't, but like humor, it I can't think of the word, but just like in layman's terms, it takes people's like puts people guards down. Like you can have your guard high up, and then about a very sensitive situation, somebody says a little joke, and it's like, okay, everything is like ease, and So you're right. It is a humor is a very. I was talking about being in counseling. They promote humor, so it's like
Yeah.
if you're a therapist and you're funny, don't shy away from that. Like you can actually get a very long way with building a therapeutic relationship with somebody if you're a humorous person. So you're right.
Are you doing the social work route to therapy?
So I am currently in a clinical mental health counseling program
Okay.
where it's not like really a social work thing.
Oh,
But it's more so yeah, like I start interning at a hospital soon. So yeah, it's interesting just learning a lot of that stuff.
dope. Yeah, my wife is a clinical social worker, so she's a therapist, and that was the
Gotcha.
particular route. Yeah, man, you're gonna be a great. I know you probably already are, but man, you're gonna be a great therapist.
No, man. I might have some questions for your wife, man. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to really start interning and doing that type of stuff. So, yeah,
Do you have like black mentors in therapy, like black mentor therapists?
man. I don't know anybody really like in the therapy realm. Like, not a white person. I know my professors, and that's really it. Like, I don't really have anybody to like come and talk to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like it's important because
Yeah.
man, yeah, my wife treats some of her clients are like white elders that want to talk to her about how they're triggered by the current political stuff,
Hmm.
but she's their therapist, and it's like, man, and they're saying wild stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't know how, other than talking to other black therapists, I don't know how a person would be able to navigate something like that.
I was looking at some research, and I think like the percentage of like black therapists is so small, and within like 100% of the black therapists, 92% of the black therapists are women, and only 8% are men. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not really any, like, in the program I'm in, I have not seen any black male outside of myself.
Yeah.
So it is no black men, barely even black women at that point. So yeah, it's one of those things where I talk to black people that are in therapy, and they're like, "Man, I had to search for months to find a black therapist. Like, it was none around me." So yeah, it's hard finding that.
I know a few men I could put you in touch with, and they're beautiful guys.
I would
And
appreciate
and
that.
and Dr. Resma, has books and is, like, yeah, they have different like types and approaches to therapy and things like that. But yeah, all of them are dope, and because people know, you know what I mean. People know that like when they see a younger guy come along, it's like, hey man, you call me anytime, day or night, type of thing.
Hey man, I would appreciate that so much. That's the reason I wanted to reach out to you with this interview, because I could just tell by like interviews and just your music that you're a very genuine soul. Even when you talk about hip hop, like, you get like a childlike smile when you talk about like growing up on hip hop and your favorite artist, and oh man, did you hear so and so, like, I could tell like you really love hip hop. You were grinning ear to ear talking about an NBA YoungBoy song, the "Make No Sense" with Jake One. I was like, man, he really love hip hop, man. And I love to see that.
Well, because it's the one place where it's like inside that song, you see just free black people. Like black people are free. You know what I mean? It's like, man, you can't do nothing about the whole rest of the world and like the other 23 hours and 56 minutes of the day. You know what I mean? But it's like in this period, the world makes sense,
Yeah.
just for that time of listening. Like when it comes together in a certain way. Yeah. And so for me, that's my thing, is like when it's genius, but also when someone is free.
Mm.
That's why, like, man, there's times where, like, I think Jay-Z is probably, I feel like he's probably objectively the best, but like, man, I'm always gonna love Yassine Bey a little more.
Yeah. You know who I think you would love, who I would love to recommend you to listen to? Have you heard of Navy Blue?
Oh yeah, man. Yes. I love Navy Blue. Yeah, I
He
love Navy Blue.
he's so good. He's really good, man.
Man. So yeah, so when you say like, so we both make music that's really like, some of our music can be really very personal and like vulnerable. Like he's very, very vulnerable. But when I listen to him and listen to me, it's like he's black. I grew up around black people, he's black.
Mm.
That's what I mean. I hear a difference. Not it doesn't I'm not down in myself at all. I'm great. But like it's different. You know what I mean? It's different. And but yeah, man, Navy Blue is phenomenal, man.
The best way to explain his music. I reviewed one of his albums. I forget which album it was. Somebody commented. They was like, "Man, he making music." It was essentially like he's making music that like the ancestors would like approve of. Like he's speaking like they use like the ancestors using like navy blue to speak through like him or whatever. And I always just thought about that. I think he said if you doing this music shit and you ain't doing it for your ancestors, who you doing it for? Somebody commented. I was like, damn. I was like, what are you doing it for? So it made me really think about that. So yeah, shout out to Sage. I met him last month, and hung out with him for the first time, and he's the coolest dude ever. So yeah, shout out to
I
Sage.
DM'd him and I was just like, I didn't DM him like, hey, I'm an artist too. I just was like, you already know this, but you're beautiful. Your music is beautiful. Da, da. Can't remember if I got a response or not, but yeah. And his name is Sage. What?
Yeah,
That's like, man. Yeah, somebody knew something when they gave him that name. It's like, yeah.
and I'm gonna send this to him. I'm gonna send this to him for sure, because he grew up around. I don't know if you know this. He grew up around Tyler and them. So like he's like best friends with Earl because he's from literally L.A. He was skateboarding with them, so like he was around like the Odd Future crew. He wasn't rapping around that time, but he was like their friend. So he comes from that Earl, like they're like besties. So yeah, it makes sense why, because you listen to somebody like Earl and his music is like super personal now. He's talking about like his black experience, and yeah, man, it's some really really good music out there if you look for it.
Man, somebody could easily make a case for Earl being the best
Mm,
of this time, or like, man. Like Earl just he says things and it's funny because like to say that he slept on would sound weird because he's so revered and loved by the people that love him. Um, but I've known a bunch of people that are like a small niche or whatever you say that word niche of people. They know he's the best,
Mm,
and everyone else knows who he is. But it's like, yeah, he's he's one of the most. It's weird to say because like I'm saying like he's loved and he's very successful and all that stuff. But like man, I feel like he's not as recognized
yeah.
as he probably will one day be. And I've seen so many people like I knew Doom and everybody loves Doom now. It wasn't like that when he was alive.
Mm,
Yasin was the only one that I knew that was jumping up and down about Doom. Um, and I knew Idea, and Idea is less known, but Idea was like that. I knew Sean Price. I've known a number of these people, and it's just like, man, it seems like I didn't know Ka, but Ka's is another one like that, where like when they go, suddenly everybody wants to recognize them.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just like, man, I would love. It's just how people say protect somebody at all costs.
Yeah.
Like, man, protect Earl at all costs, and I just really hope that the culture finds a way to really tap into exactly what that man is saying. Because it says, I feel like Larry June is a little bit more accessible version or something. Um, and it's not exactly the same thing, but man, the things that are coming out of Earl's head, heart, mouth, he's a very, very special guy.
No, it's crazy. And it's crazy because before we get out of here, I do want to talk about probably my favorite song from you. But you brought up somebody Yasin. I cannot wait for his album with Alchemist. That I know that
It
they.
is, it's very special.
Mm,
It's very, very special. Man, it's very spiritual
mm,
and it's also very sexy. It's like when like Marvin Gaye had the whole like sexual healing thing where he
yeah.
was like trying to come out of the thing and like you could somebody told him like you don't need sexual something, you need sexual healing. And so his thing was like trying to heal and whatever. It's like if Marvin Gaye had had the chance to heal and like become the spiritual being that I think he was aiming at becoming, but still just be the soulful, like sensual. It's like spiritual music that's very sexy. It's like it's just so incredibly beautiful, man. Like man, Yasin came to Istanbul when I was having a pretty hard moment, and he came and just he's the sweetest person in the world. And we hung out, and he played that album, and I just sat there like silent. And
Mm.
he kind of played it, and he was like kind of acting it out, and singing along with it and eating and everything. And I was like, can we just do that again? Like, So I listened through the whole thing 2 or 3 times, and some of the songs I have on my phone, like man, that man is the one that made me feel like so when he came out in 99, 2000, 2001, he's the exact same type of Muslim that I am. And the things he was talking about, and like I was, 19, 20, and I was like, man, I had a wife, I had, had a baby already. I was like, man, I don't know if I even should think about trying to rap for a career. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's like I look like this. I live in Minnesota. Like, what can I talk about? Like, that's the time when everybody was rich, and 'cause I was like, man, what can I even talk about? And when Black Star came out, and then his album, I was just like, okay,
Mm.
he gave me hope. Like, part of my musical identity is that man. So to become his brother and like to be close friends with him. And there's times where I forget, like we're so close now that like I forget. They're like, you're talking to Most Def, man. You know what I mean? Um, like yeah, he was such a part of that album. That's why I asked him if he would talk at the beginning. But yeah, man.
Yeah, he starts the album off. I realized. Yeah, he's I didn't find out about him through you, and I didn't find out about the other person through him. But like, he's very connected with a lot of like Muslim rappers, and I think it's beautiful, man. He's I don't know if you know the rapper uh Narcy. What was it? Narcy, you know Narcy Nurse? I found out
Yeah,
about him because I was on a plane coming back to Jacksonville, and there was this, you can watch like TV on the Delta planes, and there's this show, and at the very end of the episode, they played one of his songs. And I was like, I don't know who this is rapping like this, but this is crazy. And I think I might have like Shazammed it or something, or I typed the lyrics and however I found it. And I became like, okay, this guy's good. And I seen that like Yassine is like a collaborator with him. So he's really tapped in with like other Muslim artists I see.
yeah. I mean, Yasin is like so. Like I'm from the same community as Muhammad Ali,
Mm,
and everybody that I know from the generation before, they all have stories of just chilling with Muhammad Ali.
mm,
It's just like he was our brother. We love him, and that's how Yasin is to us.
mm,
Like Yasin and Dave Chappelle are like same thing with we're the same from the same community and everything. Yasin and Dave are what Muhammad Ali was to the generation before us.
mm,
That like if you're Muslim, there's a very good chance that you will interact with, meet, know, pray next to those guys.
mm.
Like you'll just, especially Yasin, like you could be in a mosque in France and Yasin will come in and pray, and and that's just what it is.
That's crazy. I'm just imagining somebody like praying, they look over and they're, wait, what? Is that who I think it is? You know, like that's crazy.
And man, he's somebody that like man, Hollywood wanted him so bad, and he wouldn't do it. So like the fact that Chappelle walked away from Chappelle show at the height of it, people are like, that's a very brave thing that he did, and it is. But Yassine is I think the inspiration for that. Like Yassine, Hollywood really, he has something so special.
Yeah.
I've seen him around extremely famous people, and they're shook around him.
Mm,
Like his gift is, and his light is as pure as it gets. And when people are around him, like I've seen them just genuinely like this, this person is a top model or celebrity or whatever, but they're trying to be around Yassine.
yeah.
And and he's not interested in that. And he doesn't want to be part of anything that doesn't feel good to his soul. So, he's completely driven by that. By like what feels good to me, what feels right to me. And he's passed on a lot of money because of that. But that's why I said, so to get back to where this whole kind of thread started, is like I think Jay-Z is maybe objectively the guy who's done the most, maybe. But to me, it's about hearing, like, if I close my eyes and like, what would I like the world to be like for
Mm,
Black people? Like, what's the world I want to live in? When Yassine is being Yassine Bey, when he's being Most Def, it's like that's it.
yeah.
Or when Chappelle is talking, or when Paul Mooney is talking, or and then of course there's like Nina Simone, and if we
Yeah.
go back, like we get in a record collection, then there's a bunch of it. But yeah, man, that's it's like the world feels right the second they open their mouth. The world's okay, the world's livable, and it feels right. Not only just survivable, but it's like you feel good.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny because like you talking about like being like like friends with people that you're like, man, like this dude inspired me to like rap or whatever. That's how I feel when I think about the Alchemist. Like when I interviewed the Alchemist for the first time, I was like, man, I just interviewed the Alchemist. Then I interviewed him again, and the stuff he just answered, I'm like, man, I'm like, I could like call the Alchemist right now. That's crazy to me. So to have that, like, I don't know, I don't even know if like Yassine or Alchemist realizes like, yeah, that really means a lot to me because I could have been super down because I've been listening to these people music for forever, and it's like you said, you were super down. He came to check up on you, played the album, and it's like he doesn't even probably realize how much that means to you because it's like, yo, this is the guy that made me realize I could become a professional rapper and make money off of this and make a living off of this. And he's here playing me this unreleased album that's so good and it's bringing real joy to my heart at a time I need it. Like that's really powerful.
And a lot of great artists, the reason that they're so great is because they're so true.
Yeah.
Like the Alchemist is also like, I know him, we're not best friends, but that he's true. He's
Yeah.
like a sincere person that loves this music more than anything else in life. You know what I mean? And the fact that, yeah, that like I'm sure the second he saw you or started talking to you or whatever, it's like, no, this is another real person that really loves this, that I can genuinely, like, we can have a world together in
Yeah.
a conversation that's gonna make sense. And like, yeah, so many of these people. And what's interesting too is like they don't get, they also want that feeling, like the feeling that we get. They also want to have that feeling with somebody.
Mm,
So the fact that we communicate with them about what, what's the reality of the hearts, they're getting something out of that too. Like to
yeah.
them, it's really like, oh man, yeah, I talked to somebody that gets it and that sees me. Like that's the
Yeah.
way I'm feeling. That's the way I'm feeling talking to you. It's like, oh, this person sees me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels good. Like like we're here for that. You know what I mean?
But no, like I said,
Like,
Yassine's my fault, I didn't cut you off.
no, but yeah, there's a thing where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, he's quoting Allah, he's quoting God. He said, I was a hidden treasure, but I love to be known. So I created creation to know me.
Mm,
It's like the reason for being is recognizing,
yeah.
like connecting and like that recognition. You know what I mean? So
No,
like
no.
that's what the music is, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was just gonna say that like Yassine's like one of my favorite and Alchemist one of my favorite. You're one of my favorites. So it's like to get to talk to you today, I really appreciate you. Like you have some of my songs that I go back and listen to. I'm like, man, this would probably if I suck at making like lists, but if I was making like top 100 songs of all time, there will be at least a few Brother Ali songs in there of my just personal favorite songs and whatnot. One of them being one of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song from you, Cadillac. I think that song is phenomenal. I think that song is amazing. I think the story is just the way you painted the picture. I could close my eyes and I could see everything happening. And that's a good storyteller where you can close your eyes and literally just make the scene in your head. And I think you did a great job painting a picture and giving a message out on the song, like just kind of like at the end where it's like, man, I can imagine the stuff that like he's kept from her and you know what I'm saying that nobody knows and just it just stay in his head that nobody knows because he probably wouldn't have told nobody that story if you weren't there. You just would have been him knowing that story. So I think yeah, that song is one of the best rap songs ever.
Man, I appreciate that very deeply. That's a true story that I've been sitting on for years because I just couldn't figure out how to do it. Like that's my first wife's dad that happened with. I've told the story in my podcast or whatever, but like I always knew that had to be a song, and it finally when it came, and like the whole way that it came, or everything. Like, I'm so grateful that that exists. And then even when I started making the song, I'm like, how do you end this? I even walked away. I left the song for a while and went on tour, and came back, and he died of a heart
Mhm.
attack. And I was like, that's it. Like that's the conclusion to the song. And yeah, man, thank you. That means a lot because yeah, it's like that's the kind of song that my it like all the stuff that I've gone through in my life, if it's like if I could contribute that song, that's like that's what my life was for.
Mm,
I'm good.
mm,
You know what I mean? And not that it's making anybody free, but like that's a testament from me of what
yeah.
it's like being me. Like when I was in a car with my black father-in-law, and I was in the car, and so like the only time I know, like I don't know if people think I'm white or black. I don't know what people think of me. I never know when women like me. My wife has to tell me she likes you, and I'll be like, oh, okay, because I don't know
Mm,
unless someone says it. Unless somebody says, "Yo, what's up? What's up with you after this show?" Oh, I'm married. You know what I mean? Or a police officer being like 6 foot, black male, 250 pounds, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh no, he thinks I'm black. I live in Istanbul. That's the call for prayer.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a person doing that.
That's live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Can you see the mosque right there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I had no idea you lived out there.
Yeah, I'm in Istanbul right now. It's 10:30 at night here.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Mm. But yeah, no, that's it's fascinating just to hear you speak. I appreciate you coming through, man. Um, if you like I said, you're one of my favorites. Like just to listen to rap, speak, whatever. So I definitely want to do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah,
Thank
and I'm gonna ask Brendan if we can just exchange like numbers or something like that. Like we're supposed to
you.
be friends. Like this,
Yeah,
it's cool that we did recorded
I was
this,
about to say,
but
we'll do that off air. We'll do that off air. But if there's any last words you have for the people, man, the floor is yours.
I just really appreciate this very much. Like I said, when I saw you talking to No Name and a few other people, but No Name is one of the people that there's certain people that I'd like experience. I just see them and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to know that person. I'm not gonna push it, but she's one of them that I don't know yet. That I'm like, I'm supposed to know her. But when I saw you guys talking, I was like, I want, I wanted to talk to you.
Mm,
And it's very special to just to be able to be as comfortable and to just let people talk like friends. Artists talk like friends. It's really really dope, man. So I'm I'm praying that your platform does whatever you want it to do and is successful beyond your wildest dreams. And I know you're going to be a great, you already are, but like you be a great therapist. And it's just dope, man. I feel really grateful.
for sure. I appreciate you so much. And hey, man, I try to be a great connector. So I'll try to, what I'm saying, connect you and No Name. You know what I'm saying, if that's possible, because I think
No
you and her,
expectations, but yeah.
yeah, you and her, I feel like just on a human level would connect, but you and her on a song, insane. But we'll get into that later for everybody watching. I
I
appreciate
cancel
you.
my birthday.
Hey, I'll see what I could do for everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. Until next time, I say what I mean what I say. Haters are gonna hate, players are gonna play, and you guys holler at your boy.